Good morning, everybody. So nice of you to join me today, whether it's live or if you're catching the replay. Today's episode is entitled Making New Pathways, an Aphasia Survivor Story. You get to meet my friend David. David shares his aphasia story, who he was before his stroke, and how he is thriving now. We talk about advocacy and communication strategies that he uses every day. Learn about how he is living and thriving. Before we bring on David, I want to give you a reminder that today at noon Central Time on Instagram, I'm going to answer your aphasia questions live. If you have an Instagram account, you can find me at Life Speech Pathology at noon Central Time. Without further ado, I'd love to introduce you to David. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Oh, great. Great.
Wonderful. So we've been practicing your story for a while.
Yes.
And why did you want to share your story?
I had a stroke year 7.
7 years ago. So you had a stroke 7 years ago.
Yes.
And as a result of your stroke,
I had aphasia.
when we started talking about your story, we narrowed it down to 5 main points. The day you had your stroke, what your life was like before, what your life is like after, your journey with aphasia, and then if there's any questions, we'll address those at the end as well.
Yes.
So let's start here, David. Let's talk about how your life changed. Where did you live?
Yes. Florida, Miami, Florida.
Now, this was kind of an interesting situation you were in because this was the day after Christmas.
Yeah.
And you were home.
Vacation.
And a bummer because you were homesick with
Ammonia.
you must have been pretty sick on Christmas. And you're home and you're weak. And you told me that you couldn't get off the couch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds pretty serious. You had
And ammonia, breathing, coughing.
Wheezing, coughing, trouble breathing. Yeah, you had the whole thing going on.
Yeah.
And on this day, you were doing what also?
Baby Logan.
Yeah, Logan was 9. And
Yes.
although you were sitting on the couch, he kept asking you to play.
Play. My phone dropped.
You couldn't reach it.
Reach it. Cannot talk.
And so what you came to find out is all of your coughing had caused your brain to bleed. So 8 hours later.
Help.
Yeah.
Logan called it dad. Jason, 10 hours later.
And who did Jason send?
Medics.
Jason sent the paramedics. So you were in the hospital for 2 weeks in Miami. So your first surgery was at Baptist Health South in Miami.
Yes.
And you were having some brain swelling. So
Yes.
what did the doctors do?
Yes. My skull.
So they had to take out part of your skull to relieve the pressure.
Yes.
From Miami, you were then transferred to the Shepherd Center in Atlanta. So you were at the Shepherd Center for how long?
3 months.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, let's keep going. You're doing great, David. And this slide says, I learned all of it.
All of it. Hard work every day.
Mm-hmm.
Move back the mom and dad.
You had said 18 months once you got home to your parents' house. It took you
Yes.
18 months, but then you were able to.
Downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You were able to move downstairs into your own apartment.
Apartment.
So you're settled in at home, you're in your apartment. Talk to us about your rehab.
New beginnings while gym and pool.
Mm-hmm.
Speech therapy. What Genevieve Maria.
Yep. So let's talk a little bit about you so we can get to know you better. Who were you before the stroke? Where'd you go to school, David?
College.
Okay.
Music.
Mm-hmm.
Bio ensemble.
Mm-hmm.
All over world.
Mm-hmm.
First tenor. Saxophone solos.
Yes, sir. So we're talking about family now. Tell us about your family, David.
Sam, older. Allie, sister. Mom and dad. Susan and Donnie.
Mm-hmm. And the three of you, you and your siblings, sang together.
Yes.
And you were known as?
Jasper Solo Trio.
You were the Holmes family trio, using your last name, right? And your music, Southern gospel. And where did all this musical talent come from, David?
All sides.
All sides of the family. This was one of your trips to Miramar Beach in Florida. This was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And we got some fabulous pictures from your album photo shoot. More pictures of family. And who is this cute little pumpkin down here? Is this Franklin?
Franklin.
This is Franklin. He was your first Frenchie.
Yes.
And what trouble did Franklin get into in this picture?
No.
Yes, and we can see the evidence on his cute little nose.
Yeah.
You were a huge member at Mount Zion Baptist Church. Tell us some of the things you did there.
Music, solos, led choir, solos, you, Christmas, also.
Mm-hmm. And you were also assistant youth pastor.
Yes.
You were very involved. And what else do we know about you, David?
Travel.
Woohoo! So you've been to all sorts of places.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little?
Ecuador, England, Canada, Panama, Mexico, Bahamas, all over.
Yeah. And one of your favorite trips?
England, Brighton Pier.
You went to a restaurant of someone famous.
Yes.
Jamie Oliver's restaurant.
Waikini musical.
Yes. You were able to look that up the other day and show me the Spring Awakening musical. Sounds like it was a good trip. You've also been to
Ecuador,
Yes. So you were on a 10-day mission trip.
soccer, ocean, and mountains
Mm-hmm. And
all over.
you were there with the teenagers from your church. And then what was one of the big monuments you saw while you were in Ecuador?
Earth,
The center of the earth, right? And I think we have more pictures to share. Here we go. The center of the earth,
yeah,
an imaginary line that divides the northern and southern hemispheres.
yes,
Yeah, very cool. So let's pivot a bit and talk about your rehab.
yeah. New beginnings, speed, Maria.
Mm-hmm.
I did drawings, gym, garden,
Mm-hmm.
grow tomato, dill, peppers, condominos.
And it was sometime after then that you and I met.
Yes. Genevieve.
Woohoo! And let's talk about all this amazing recovery you've had, David.
Yes. I drive. Yay!
Yay! Yeah.
Yay. Handicap apartment, walking every day, stairs
Yeah.
all the time.
And then what do you also do?
Detailed cars. Franklin T.
Excellent. So here we have a flyer. This is a flyer we made together. Franklin's Auto Detailing. It's a 2-page flyer. So let's keep talking about your life now, David.
Yes. Apple everything.
And we're talking computers, Apple computers, everything, right?
Yes. Computers, car auctions.
Mm-hmm. You love watching those auctions on TV and going when they're local.
Yes. Trains,
Mm-hmm.
bulldogs.
You know, I didn't make the association until just now, but you love the Georgia Bulldogs, the dogs, football, and you have French
Yes.
Bulldogs.
Yep.
Was that a thing, David? It's an interesting coinky dink that has just now occurred to me.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe you, yeah, got it. And so your Frenchies are,
Violet and Linus.
oh, so sweet.
Cute.
Yeah. And what else keeps you busy, David?
Cooking shows. Soothie Daggett.
You do love all the cooking stuff, as do I. And what do you like to watch?
Horror movies. Conjurings.
Oh boy.
TV. Walking Dead and Ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
Musicals. I love it.
Yes,
Love it.
you do. So let's talk about your communication.
Yes.
So everybody who has aphasia, you have strengths and weaknesses. Let's start with your strengths.
Yes. Listening, reading, typing under it, memory, elephant.
Yes, you have memory like an elephant and your
Concentration.
exactly. So those are your strengths. And here's the challenges that you were telling.
Noise.
Noise. That is, I would say, most folks with aphasia. That's one of the biggest issues. Saying numbers out loud. And the trick is you've got them in your head. And often you can air spell them or write them or send them in the chat when we're Zooming. Saying them is hard.
Yeah. And word and memory.
Words and sentences give you
Yes.
challenges sometimes, right? And then we also know that matching letters to sounds, that kind of phonological component of language, gives you trouble. And then let's talk about strategies. You are like Superman with the phone.
Phone. Loop up. Look up.
Information.
Yes. Conjuring words and phrases.
You often write keywords.
Spell.
Yeah, air spelling. That was one of those strategies we tried out one day, and it was really helpful. And it sometimes air spelling, David, isn't you writing air spelling the first letter of a word will often allow you to then say that word.
Yes. Yes. Talk, tablet, phone.
Yeah, so you use the Talk Tablet app on your iPhone.
Yeah.
So some more communication strategies. You tend to be really good at labeling things. So what we call nouns and giving single words.
Yes.
Talk about technology, David.
Walk, card to my tablet, computers.
Yeah, because IT or, information technologies and technology in general was such a huge part of your work and your hobbies.
Yes.
So you worked hard to get your computer skills back. And tell us about learning to type again.
Yes. Website, all of it.
Yeah. And then what would you say was the number one thing you had to do?
Patience, patience, patience.
Yeah. So let's talk about the strategies you need others to use with you to make communication easier.
Slow down
Whoops.
speech. Slow down speech. Pause.
If we ask you a question, we need to wait and give you a moment to respond.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What else?
Phone, computer, tablet.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You use all of the tech at your fingertips. And it doesn't seem to matter what our topic is, David. If if you and I, let's say, are talking about a recipe and you want to show me the latest gadget, but you can't think of the word, you often look it up, hold up
Yeah.
your phone and show it to me. Or you pull that web page up and then you type on the whiteboard or in the chat what it is we're talking about. So tech, you are the tech guy for sure. And then something else you wanted people to know about.
Versus election.
Mm-hmm. Virtual Connections is a free online like support group and meeting group where folks with aphasia can meet together in groups about topics. So David, that brings us to the last slide, questions. I do have a question for you from Nathan. Nathan asked David, how do you stay motivated?
Patience.
Mm-hmm. Would you say you lean on anybody? Where does the support come from?
Mom and dad.
Yeah. Your family is a huge part of your life, as we could see from those great photos. Okay, so to answer Nathan's question, it's patience. Stephen has a question for you, David. Stephen asks, what is the number one thing someone can do when they talk with you?
Phone.
We need to remember that you use your phone and it might take you a moment. Would you also say slowing down?
Yes.
Do they have to slow down a lot?
No. Slowing.
How much? Just a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah. And getting rid of the noise.
Yeah.
So, what if the TV's going, the dog is barking, and there's people in the kitchen,
Yeah.
yet you're trying to have a conversation?
Yes.
I would imagine you got to turn off the TV
Yeah.
or
Oh
mute
yeah.
it.
Yes.
Maybe go to a different room of the house where there's less people.
Yes.
Setting up the environment for success is so important when it comes to aphasia.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, we have one more question for you, David.
Yeah.
Irma asks, how is your singing now after the stroke?
Music, notes,
Mm-hmm.
hate, all of it. All of it. Memory, no, no.
Okay, so let's break that down. So it sounds like when it comes to musical notes,
Yes.
you can do those. You can sing, you can hum,
Yes.
you definitely hold a tune. But how about the words, David?
No.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. That apraxia gets in the way. But that doesn't mean you don't love music
No.
and adore musicals.
Always.
David, thank you for sharing your story with us.
Thank you.
You are to be commended for your hard work and your
Yes.
successes. And, your story helps give other people motivation.
Yes.
All right, David, take care, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Hi.
I'm so glad you got to hear David's survivor story. He is an inspiration. Thank you for joining me again this week. If you are anywhere around Instagram in the next 30 minutes, I'm going to be doing a quick live show where I answer some aphasia questions. I have a challenge and some topics for you that we're going to cover about aphasia. I hope you'll join me over on Instagram in 30 minutes. Have a wonderful day.